Welcome back to another episode of FFI DFS. That's Mega Ruler 31. It's Memorial Day, May 31st, and we've got a 9 game slate. It's early today because of the holidays, starting at 1:05 p.m. for the main. There are some games later on, but we'll be covering the main slate only today for video purposes. So, yes, it is Memorial Day, and again, thank you to all those who've served and gave up your lives for our country and those of you who continue to serve, but also let us remember all the special people in our lives who have passed today. So I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and it's about 6:30 in the morning right now. And I thought things were supposed to clear up today, but it is completely pouring. It does not look like there's any weather concerns on the slate, but I keep an eye on things just in case everybody else throughout the East Coast has the weather forecast wrong. Now, this might just be a passing shower. I didn't look at the radar. Things might completely clear up. But just check around noon when you're building your lineups, just to make sure that there's no threats that have popped up. Pitching wise, it's pretty straightforward on this slate. There's really not that many options. Um, First thing that you really want to look at is um, the White Sox and the Indians game is going to be one of 7 inning games because it's a first game of a doubleheader. So Carlson Doane is pitching there. He's having a good season, and I like him against this Cleveland Indian team. And we like pitchers sometimes in these shortened games because sometimes the managers, if they're pitching well, will let them go the whole game, and you get the complete game points on DK. So Carlson Doane, I think, is one of the top pitchers on the slate, but he's not the top pitcher on the slate. Top pitcher on the slate is a really good pitcher who's having a really good season with a really good K rate, and he gets the Detroit Tigers, which always bumps things up and makes things a little bit better. Plus, he's pitching at home, and that would be Corbin Burns, and he's only at 9.9, which, the way he profiles, you would think that he would be the 12K pitcher if he was anybody else like DeGrom, Scherzer, um, Walker, well, maybe not Walker Buehler, but Trevor Bauer, um, Shane Bieber, somebody like that. You would think he'd be 11 or 12K, but he's only at 9.9, which is very affordable. So the other pitcher up top here, coming third in price, is Barrios. I think you can make a case for him against Baltimore. He struggled a little bit, but if you want to be a little bit contrarian and not play probably Burns, who's going to be the highest ownership, and maybe Rondon. It looks like some people might pay up for both pitchers here. I think he's definitely an option, but I like the guy right below him, Kaplerlin, for the A's. All this guy does, he's had 3 starts and he's put up mid 20-point games. So he gets Seattle, who's not a good team. They strike out. They've been no hit twice. Not saying he's going to throw a no hitter today, but I really like him. He's a good young pitcher, and I think I'm just going to keep on playing him until he lets me down, and maybe still consider him until he lets me down a couple times. So, or his price gets too outrageous. Like 9-1's getting up there, but I think it's pretty fair. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to pair Burns and Kaplerlin as my pitchers. You can make a case for Rich Hill. He hasn't done bad his last couple of starts. He actually had faced the Yankees a couple starts ago, and he put up like 30 DK points. He has been, even at his age, he's still been left out there, so he's not getting pulled after like 4 or 5 innings. He's not pitching like super deep. He's not getting like 8 innings, but he's getting enough to make a difference and to be a pitcher to consider at this price point. Plus, there are some Ks in this Yankees lineup. In the past, he's been more of a reverse splits pitcher, so that might help him against a right-handed heavy Yankees lineup who usually hits left-handed pitching well. This year, he seems to be evening back out to a normal splits pitcher as a lefty, so we'll have to see there. But I don't think he's a cash gameplay, but I think in GPPs, if you want to save a little bit of money, he's one to take. The rest of these guys, I'm really not interested in. McKenzie has been very erratic. The guy's got some talent, but he's facing a Chicago White Sox team who has been hitting pretty well. Remember, it's a shortened game, so if you want to get cute there and think that, maybe he gets a complete game in the 7, but I'm not touching that. Quiddy's coming back from injured list, so we don't know how many pitches he gets. It could be anywhere from 60 to 80. Too risky. Um, don't really like many of these other guys in the mid range, the 7Ks here. I mean, except for, I think, maybe James Talon on the other side of this Yankees game. I think he's got a couple extra days off to rest up. So Tampa Bay definitely has strikeouts. I'd rather it be in Tampa Bay because that'd be a better pitcher's ballpark than Yankee Stadium. But he's one. If you're trying to save some money at 7-3, is like really the only one that I consider here. Paddock is against the Cubs, and the wind's blown out a little bit there. He hasn't been super consistent. Uh, Maybe he'll eventually put it together, but I'm not paying today to figure it out. Cueto has had a rough go of it the last few games. Dylan Bundy, same thing. Uh, Wade Miley against Philly, maybe at 6.5, but nobody definitely below that. So hitting situations today. Um, Minnesota has the highest total against Baltimore. I um, I think you can make a case for them. I'd take the top 5, maybe Larnish if you're trying to save some money. Betting 6 at 2.5. So because Cruz is the most expensive one in that stack at 5. The rest of them are all in like 4K range. Barrios, one thing he has done is struggled with lefties. So if you want to take in a GPP stack, Baltimore, um, I can see taking some of the lefties and switch hitters there. I think if Rich Hill is not on today, then the Yankees make a good GPP stack. If you look at the batters here, they're really not that expensive for the Yankees, and it seems like they've been cheap all year, especially on FanDuel. But Judge at 6K is the highest one here, so if you just want to skip him, if you think he's gonna get a lot of strikeouts today, and just go Mayhew, Stanton, Urshela, Torres, and Gary Sanchez or Andujar or somebody like that, or just take 4. Or I think you can fit the whole stack in if you go Talon as your pitcher. So I like that too. Cincinnati just seems way underpriced also against Philly here for hitting. Uh, Suarez at 4.5, Winker at 4.6, Castellanos at 4.5. Like you'd think he'd be like a 5.5 K pitcher against Vincent Velasquez here, who has kind of struggled with control and gives up probably the second or third highest hard contact, and his stats just aren't really great here. So, and it's a smaller ballpark, the Great American Small Park as they call it. So, Naquin at 3.7 if he's batting, and 4th here, really like that price for him. And I think I'd only go like 4 here. I don't think I'd throw Stevenson in the stack. There's this Max Sherrock. He's got like 5 or 6 or 7 DK points, like a hit or something, or walk or something here or there. So he's minimum price. So if you want to throw him in the stack, if he's batting 6, then I'm fine with that if you're looking for some salary relief. The other side of this game against Wade Miley, I kind of like the Philly righties in a GPP. I think the Reds are more of a cash, and I think they might be my primary cash stack. But I do like the Philadelphia right-handers here: McCutcheon, Hoskins, Realmuto. Even if you want to throw Segura in the stack there, Bomb. I think they make a nice GPP stack today. I might as well at this point just go game by game here. So let's swing over to the next game, which would be Milwaukee and the Tigers. I definitely do not want the Tiger bats against Corbin Burns or any Tiger pitching here. It looks like it's going to be a bullpen game. So that does make Milwaukee an interesting stack too for GPPs. Being a bullpen game, I think you can take both sides of the plate. But besides Yelich at 5.2, they're all pretty in the low 4K, much in the low 4Ks for salary. So I think I can take any one of them, just mix and match. And I think they'd be good positions too to kind of just fill into your lineup. So if you're taking a stack of 5 or 4 and throw them in to fill out everything. San Diego and the Cubs, Paddock against Keegan Thompson. So I think the Cubs look like they're going for a bullpen game. Wind blowing out a little bit, 7, 8, 9 miles per hour. Temperatures in the 70s, so ball's going to be flying a little bit. Like the left-handed bats here for San Diego, it did look like in some places I saw Griffin might be back for this game off the IL. Cronenworth, he started off the season hot. It's been a little bit cooler now, but definitely some potential here today. Hosmer always hits righties well. I think he's one that you can play as a one-off, or if you just want to throw in left-handed stack. If Profar moves up, the switch hitter, that'd be nice. And you can always play Tatis and Machado in the stack also. They're really good pitchers or hitters against, either side of the play, especially if it's a bullpen game. The Cubs against Paddock, I can see that too. I look for probably the lefties, but they're very expensive. I just don't get the pricing here. Like Jock Peterson leading off at 5.7. Jock Peterson, really? Come on. I mean, Paddock's not that bad of a pitcher. These are like Coors Field pricing here, so I think it would be a GPP if you're playing 150 or 20 max. I think it makes an interesting stack. You'd have to take some really questionable pitchers to make it work. But I think the ownership is going to be super low here just based on the pricing. So I'll have to see if Rizzo's back in the lineup. I know he's consistently dealing with a back problem. Maybe Happ will move up a little bit to switch hitter at 4.4, but still, those prices are just crazy high. It's just ridiculous. Like I said, so you're going to have great leverage there, and they're not in a bad situation, but it's just not ideal to justify this pricing. White Sox and Indians, again, like Rondon definitely as a pitcher. McKenzie, possibly if you're getting cute just because it's a 7-inning game, really wouldn't touch any of the bats here because you lose too much with just being a 7-inning game. Los Angeles Angels at the Giants. Like Bundy has just really struggled the last couple, so I really don't like him here. Cueto, same thing. Angels without Trout in the lineup. Maybe Walsh is a one-off. Upton is leading off. He's cheap. Lagares at 3.3. Rojas. I mean, it might make a cheap, weird contrarian stack, but Cueto's not that bad. But I do like the Giants definitely against Bundy, especially the lefties here. Yastrzemski is like 5.1, but I mean, I can even take some of the righties here. Posey, Longoria, Dickerson, Crawford at 3.8. Shortstop, there's his position is pretty scarce today. So, at that price at 3.8, I think I'm going to have him in a lot of lineups as like a one-off fill-in. Red Sox take on Houston. Erod versus Urquidy coming back from the IL. We don't know how long Urquidy's going to go. Erod has struggled a little bit. Houston's got a decent bullpen, so I really don't like the Red Sox too much here. It looks like a pick'em game, 4.25 total, so I don't think I'm really going here for either side. Erod has struggled, so I can see taking some Houston bats, especially the right-handers here, Altuve, Bregman, Gurriel if he's back in the lineup, Correa. Kyle Tucker has moved up to the second spot and kind of taken over for Brantley as he's been out, and it seems like he's similar to Brantley, where he's been hitting right-handed and left-handed batting just equally as well, and he's only 3.5, so he's good one-off there. Or if you want to stack this, I'd probably only go 4. I wouldn't go 5. Correa, I think if you want to put him in the stack, that's fine, but I don't think he's a priority at all. But you'll see how the lineup comes out. Like sometimes you have Straw like leading off or something like that. He's got speed. We thought that he'd be hitting a little bit more for average and power, but not really much. And then McCormick's been in the lineup too. But actually, he's been decent. He had a home run One game ago, he had 16 DK points. Yesterday with a stolen base, 2 walks, a run, an RBI, a hit. So he might be a sneaky one to watch there. It's got him batting down at 7th, but at 2.6 if you need a cheap outfielder fill-in. Looks like he's an option if he stays hot. Then we have the A's and against the Seattle Mariners. I really love Kaplerman as a pitcher here. Think definitely locking him in most of my lines. And on the other side, really not interested in Gilbert. He's not horrible, but not good. So, and I really like this A's lineup, especially these lefty power bats. Olson, Brown, Mitch Moreland, if he gets to start there. Jed Lowry, switch hitter. So you could, I'm okay if you throw Canna in the stack, but if you look at the projected lineup right now, you could go Kemp, Olson, Brown, Lowry, and Moreland and make a nice stack 2 through 6 there with lefty or split hitting guys. And I think they'll put up, they have a 4.52 total, but I think that's a little low. I think they'll get more than that. Seattle, really not interested in any of these bats, even in game theory. I guess if you think Kaplan is going to be a very popular pitcher, which I think he's going to be probably the SP2 for most people here, unless they go down to like Talon or somebody else, or something changes and the pitcher gets scratched and another obvious guy comes to the surface. You could always take Seager. He's always great against right-handed pitching. So that pretty much breaks down the slate. Let's look at a couple lineup constructions quickly here. So like I said, pretty much looking to take, if you want to go up top and you want to go with Burns and Rondon, the 2 most expensive pitchers, I think you can get a Cincinnati stack in there. Like I said, they're pretty cheap. You can go Naquin, Winker, Suarez, but you might only be able to take 3. I don't think you might be able to get like Castellanos in there. I worked that out with kind of taking 3 Cincinnati and 3 Oakland. Like I said, if you take like Olson, Kemp, and Brown, then, or you'd have to just take a really cheap shortstop and you can get Castellanos in there if you don't want to take Brown. And then if you do play Brown and a cheap catcher, you can get a decent shortstop. There's like 4 or 5 of them. You end up like with 4K left there. I think for catcher, most of the time, if he's in with Barrios struggling with lefties, I'm going to take Cisco at 2K. So if he's in, if not, said leave a, well, the nice thing is he's the first game, so you'll know early on if he's going to be in or not. So you don't have to really worry about leaving a little bit of a buffer money there in case he's not in the lineup, like we did a couple weeks ago when we loved the 2K Arizona catcher, and their line came up like 2 minutes before lock, and everybody's scrambling and ended up with like Knapp from Philly if you had $200. If not, you just took the 0 and hope the rest of your line worked out. So not that situation today. Like I said, my favorite pairing is probably going to be Burns and Kaplerman, Cisco at catcher. If you do that, that gives you $4,143 left, which is great. I like, throwing in a twin stack here, Sano, Polanco, Davidson, Cruz, and Kirilloff. Then you just figure out who you want for shortstop and outfield. So, Galvis is a good option there against Barrios in the same game. Struggling with like lefty. He's a switch hitter. There's other options definitely at shortstop, and then you just have to figure out who you'd want in outfield. Or, you have a couple $100 left. You pay up a little bit more for catcher if Cisco's not in. And then I think the final stack I'd look for is if I go like Burns and Tyon, just to give me a little bit more money. Cisco at catcher again. Then I can get a Yankee stack in if you're playing the Yankees pitcher for, the way the game's going. If he's going to do well, you want the offense to do well. So DeLeMahieu, Urshela, Torres, Judge, and Stanton fits in. And then you can take a couple one-offs from some of the games we talked about. Like you take, if you want to take Olson for at first base, or even Moreland, who's pretty cheap. And then, there's a bunch of options from the games we talked about: Minnesota, Cincinnati, Milwaukee to fill in for some of these guys. For the outfield, lots of options. So it's a decent slate. I think, like I said, pitching is pretty straightforward. A few hitting situations, I think if you can condense that for cash, and then cash, you're going either Rondon and Burns up top, and then trying to get some cheap bats in there, or you're going Burns and Kaplerlin, which I think is going to be my pairing, or go down to Burns and Talon, or if you really, really want to play an expensive stack, I think Kaplerlin and Talon would be your pairing. That would be to try to get the Cubs in, who are like super expensive today. But like batting situations, again, Minnesota, Yankees, GPP, Milwaukee, sprinkle in for to fill in the rest of your lineup as one-offs or like a mini stack. Cincinnati, I think, is my favorite stack in cash. I wouldn't play the White Sox or Indians because it's a 7-inning game, like the lefties, San Francisco Giants, and Oakland A's lefties also against Seattle. So that wraps up today's slate for Memorial Day. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like, put some comments below if you have any questions. We'll see if we can help you out with those, and hit me up at MegaRuler31 on Twitter. And again, with questions, comments, we love interacting with our viewers, and we appreciate you watching, and have a safe Memorial Day.